flames or the ashes, the spirits light up the night, looking down.
Now, from the Untold Radio Network, it's Untold Radio AM with Doug and Alex Hajicek.
Hello, I'm back.
Hello. You made it. You're alive.
Miss me? Did you miss me?
Yes.
No, you didn't. Yeah, I'm back. Everybody's back. I had lunch with the whole team today, which was really fun. So shout out to Adam and Chris and Bud and Joe. Joe couldn't make it for lunch, but I see Joe all the time.
No man left behind.
Yep, they're flying out of Minneapolis tomorrow and excited to get home back to normalcy instead of waking up in the middle of the night with terror. I did that twice here already at home.
Right, getting used to being...
You hear a bang and you're just, you just
adrenaline.
Wake up, yeah. But it was quite a trip.
Yeah,
really
sounds
was.
like it.
Yeah, it was insane. First day was really insane. And then it kind of, it was always insane up there. But anyhow, welcome everybody. Say I've even got, I see a few new faces. Shout out to Charles and Sharon and Jermac and Brown Dwarf and Nixon and Kim Kincaid and Sharon and there's more. There's Jennifer. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you, Jennifer.
She just did a super chat donation. Who else? David, Rusty. Say I miss all you guys. AJ, Mary Jo, Kevin, Morrison. Yay, Kevin. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. John. We always see John. John's the salt of the earth. But anyhow, so I want to tell a story. And I think this happened, I think it was the first night. You know how on edge we were? We talked, right? And we were like super on edge because the cabin had just been broken into literally like 3 weeks, but they ripped the doors off, broke the glass, that kind of stuff.
No.
So that's why we were on such edge, because they'd kind of learned a new skill, like breaking glass. And that didn't make me very happy.
No.
And nobody told us. Nobody called us. Oh, by the way, the cabin got destroyed. Well, come on up. We can't wait for you to come up and stay out there. Yeah, oh, yeah. But, okay. So at one point we saw a mouse, and they run along they have these big high tension cables to basically hold the cabin together. They're just like wire cables. And I saw a mouse running across one of the wire cables. And I just mentioned it, and then I went back to whatever I was doing, right? Well, right. Joe and Bud put a mouse trap up above the wood stove. Okay. Middle of the night, probably bewitching hour, about 1:20 in the morning. I'm just dozing off. Thinking, nothing's going to happen. I'm kind of happy nothing's going to happen. And all of a sudden, bam, 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 bam on my wall, which I think is my wall, right?
Right.
And of course, there's an air horn there. Me and Adam and Joe talked. Adam heard like a couple of the stones, and Joe heard like 4 of them. So it was loud. I mean, the first one was like a 22, and it sounded like they hit the glass. So I'm thinking, oh God, here we go.
Buckle up.
So I'm thinking, well, I call out to Bud and those guys to get them up, right? Because you want to have a show of force when they're throwing rocks that hard. You want to be up and aware of what's going on, right? Because of their new learned skill, tearing the doors off, breaking glass. So I'm thinking, I yell for them. I don't hear anything. So there's an air horn. So I'm thinking this will get their attention. So and it'll scare off whatever's outside. And I blow the air horn. that got their attention. So everybody gets up, and there was the damn mousetrap.
Oh no!
Mousetrap had gone off, and then, of course, it went off. It sounded like a 22 going off, which is what I thought was the rock hitting the window.
Right, you guys thought
And
you were
then the
under
mouse
attack.
fell from up above and landed. The mousetrap and the mouse. I know it's horrid for those that love mice, and yeah. The mouse fell and was hopping around on the wood stove, which is tin. So it was going bang, 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 bang. It's just that. But it wasn't the night for that to happen, right?
Right.
So, yeah. Story, but, it also shows that we wanted to, it took us a while to debunk it till we found the mousetrap lane. Down, and then that was proof enough for me to know what went down. But it sounded exactly like rocks hitting the cabin. It's the first time I'd ever seen anybody set a mousetrap in that place. So I know it's full of mice. It was funny too because Joe saw it like go into his like sleeping bag, the mouse.
Ooh.
And then he goes up and he looks on this little rail because he was up on the top bunk.
Yeah.
He looks and there's just full of mouse turds up on the rail.
Oh no.
So he cleaned that up. It's just, it's it's in the wilderness.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you just gotta work.
You gotta live. I remember one time I slept outside alone, and the only little buddy I had that came up to me was a little mouse. He would run up to me and look me right in the eyes and run away. And he kept doing that. And he kept me company. But that was outside. And that was before Sasquatch ever, I ever had any experiences up there. I felt safe up there. It can get hot in that cabin. Like really hot. And it did a few nights. It got hot up there. So anyhow, that's my story. But we have more. There were actual rocks and thumps and real things that happened on the side. In fact, that night, there were 2 thumps on the side of the cabin. That wasn't a mousetrap. Got boom on the side. And then Chris was awakened that morning, or not, I don't think he was awakened. He may have been awake already, but it was like early in the morning before the sun came up. He heard a big kaboom on the side of his cabin.
Was it like a thunder knock?
No, just like they're taking their hand and hitting it. And it was really funny because we went on the last day when I flew out, we had to stop and pick up some other people that were at a different lake. So we flew to this other lake. The first thing, this guy sticks his head in the plane, in the float plane, because it's like, why get out? It's hard to get in those planes. So I'm just sitting there and he sticks his head in the plane and he goes, what in the hell would be on the side of a cabin all night long? He goes, I thought it was my friends playing a trick on me, but they denied it, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, do you know what kind of animal that would be? And I said, well, I have a few ideas.
A couple.
That was the end of that conversation. And then I got really sick up there. I got COVID or whatever. I shouldn't have said that. I got sick.
You got
and
something.
My throat started, getting all that, raw feeling.
Yeah.
So I'm still sick. So bear with me here. I have to cough a little bit. Excuse me. I need one of those analog cough buttons. This plastic button you can just hit cough. Cut my coughs out.
Yeah.
Other than that, I feel pretty good. But we're going to have our guest tonight, Maxim Furek.
Yes.
He's going to talk about the tribes of Bigfoot. Should be really interesting. The Lost Tribes, not the tribes. The Lost Tribes of Bigfoot. There you go. New book, and I believe that we published that book.
Yes, we did. We just published it.
Oh, cool.
Check it out, guys.
It's brand new, and it was available, I think, everywhere.
Everywhere, Amazon or store, hangeronpublishing.com.
Excuse me. This whatever I caught, that's not good. So we have Maxim. Do you call him Max or Maxim?
Maxim.
Okay, Maxim. We're gonna have Maxim on tonight, but we're gonna play during Tech Breakdown. We've got some gibberish that we recorded up there that literally scared all of us, because just by chance we were all together at the kitchen table, and we're all listening, live. We're monitoring the cameras live that were outside, and we had gibberish come over one of the cameras. No, first I heard some rocks hit, so I went, okay. And I handed my phone to Adam, because I'm monitoring these cameras on my phone. And then he accidentally pushes the record button. And then this gibberish comes over.
Whoa.
And it was clear and it was loud, and we're going to share it with everybody tonight. And we've got the great one and only David Ellis, who's going to do a breakdown. He analyzes it with a spectrogram. So we'll see what that turns out like. Okay.
Exciting.
So that's coming up. What else? Told my dumb mouse trap story. I feel bad for the mouse.
Yeah.
By the way, they said they caught two more. They caught two with one blow, if you know what I mean. Like, how do you do that? Catch two at one blow.
They were greedy for it.
Oh man. I have tried to catch a mouse my whole life. I've never been able to. They just avoid my mouse traps. Anyhow, so then I get back, and there's this crazy storm in Minneapolis. Like, it was insane. I've lived here forever, and I've never seen a weird storm like this. It was just weird. And the aftermath was so weird that literally anybody with a brain was outside filming, taping, taking photos, because it was the brightest. The sky turned bright orange. A dark rainbow appeared. Go ahead and throw that up. It's a video. Let's play this first. I want to talk about this because it was weird. Oh, look at this. This is a rainbow. This is at night in the dark. This was not like, it was near sunset, but it was pretty dark out.
The night rainbow.
And then there's lightning in the rainbow, like tons of this lightning. See if you can see some of this.
Yeah, you can see it.
Yeah, you can see it. But where we were, the rainbow looked almost black. I've never seen like a black rainbow. And so then my oldest daughter contacts me and said, Dad, I filmed something really weird. And she shows it to me. Now, I don't know if it was a live photo. Can you make them come alive, Alex?
Unfortunately, it's just flat for me, but we can bring it up.
Okay, you can see it.
Yeah.
See that thing? It's a green. It's bright lime green up by the rainbow up there. And I watched the live, and it was bouncing around like a ping pong ball. I mean, it was really going off. So Alyssa May recorded this with live, and I always recommend don't turn that live setting off. Do videos. Don't do pictures. You can always grab a still from a video. But anyhow, it was insane. So then, that's what it looked like close up. I blew it up. So that was quite a catch. But then do you have my picture? I snapped some pictures. And then Adam goes today. He goes, oh yeah, there's a UFO in yours. It's actually 3 UFOs in yours. Now, this doesn't look anything at all like it really looked. It was so bright orange. I've never seen anything like it. Can you blow that up, that UFO? And I didn't see it with my eyes. Then I looked at it. After Adam looked at it. And I went, damn it, that's my recessed lights on my ceiling. It's a reflection. So there you go, people. Don't believe everything you see. But sure looks like a UFO to me. That's just recessed. You know those recessed light things in your ceiling.
That's what I thought it was.
Doesn't that look perfect?
Yeah.
So it's even tilted and everything.
Yeah, and there's 3 of them.
And there's 3 of them? Yeah, because I've got 3 recessed lights.
In like a triangle.
So beware, folks. Beware. Okay. What else we got here? So anyhow, and then AJ took one too, and it was just crazy. Did you get out and see this?
I didn't see the color of the sky.
Did you go outside even? I
I
know
don't
you,
tell
Alan.
you.
You didn't even go out. Oh my God, you didn't even go out. That was like a lifetime event out there.
Well,
Oh my God.
I got to hear about it from you.
You got to hear about it. Yeah, okay. Anyhow, in the news, there was apparently a new dinosaur species similar to T-Rex found in Asia. And I thought that was kind of interesting. So this dinosaur species is similar to T-Rex found in Asia. And apparently it's a very significant discovery. It's a new carnivore. Yeah, it's 165 million years old. And it is called blah, 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 blah. Oh my God. It is Alex, you try to pronounce it. You have it in front of you, don't you? Caracush crygizicus.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Sounds right.
It's just perfect. Yeah, it's
Perfect.
Perfect pronounced. So this was discovered in Kyrgyzstan. How do you say that?
Kyrgyzstan.
Yeah, okay. Good night, folks. By an expedition team of from Germany, and then the Kyrgyz researchers. And apparently this has all been confirmed by the Bavarian State Natural History Collections in Germany. So there you go. They didn't think anything like this lived over there. I don't know why. Why wouldn't they? Right?
Yeah. Why would they?
Yeah. That's all I had in the news. We made our own news.
We did.
Minneapolis was, that's all I've been seeing on the news is that night with the rainbow and the orange and the lightning rainbow. People are saying, oh, it's like the sign of the end of the world. It was weird. I do give it that.
I wish I would have seen it.
Yeah. Hey, is there anybody? So I want to do trivia, and it kind of fits our theme tonight before we do this tech breakdown. And I've got a product I want to show everybody too, something new and cheap that you can use in your research, along with David. David's going to go on first, but I want to just do a short 10-question trivia, and it's going to be on gorillas. Does anybody want to take on Alex? Just say hell yeah in the comments, and then you can go against Alex. And by the way, oh, thank you, Kim. And by the way, I want to start getting witnesses on for a short event where witnesses can come on live. They don't have to go on camera. They can just be their voice. And then all you got to do is let us know, like in an email with, Alex at Untold Radio. am.com or me, Doug at untoldradio.am.com. And we'll just have you on just to tell your story. It doesn't have to be long. It can just doesn't have to be greatly eventful. And you don't have to get all ready. You can just use your voice and we'll send you a link and you can come on live. So I'd love to do these little 2-3 minute eyewitness stories. It could be on anything. It could be anything weird, actually. We don't care, do we?
No.
Do we care?
Don't care.
We don't care. So who's going to take Alex on? Come on.
Everyone's threatened by my giant
They're
brain.
threatened by your... Eric, you want to take on Alex?
Jennifer will take me on.
Jennifer will? Oh, Jennifer. Okay, sure. Okay, Jennifer.
Do you want me to play the bumper?
Sure, play your bumper, Alex.
Okay.
It's just for you. Play it.
All right, here we go.
I'm an expert at overthinking things that I shouldn't. You come across as a cool guy, someone is the opposite.
Let's really stump Alex.
All right, so let's do this. Jennifer, let's see who else. Hold on, I can't keep up. Francesca, and Eric can all go for it. Those three. Are you ready? I'm going to write this down. Eric, Jennifer, and Francesca. There we go. Against Alex. Isn't that a cute picture? All right. So there are 2 or 4 species of gorillas. Simple. 2 or 4. Come on, guys. Thank you, Charles.
4.
Alex says 4. Come on, guys. Get your answers in. Patrick, you're not doing this. Mary, you're not doing this. John, you're not doing it. Francesca, you are. 2, I think. Okay. All right. Francesca got it right. So you didn't get your answers in. Eric, no, they're not 4. Excuse me. There are 2, Eastern and Western, but then each species splits into 2 subspecies, right? Based on whether they're in the Eastern lowland gorillas, Eastern mountain, Western lowland, and Western cross river gorillas. There's only 2 species, right?
It's only 2.
So, Alex, you definitely got
Yeah.
your batting 0. Let's see here. I can't keep track because there are all those other people were answering. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
So, wild gorillas live in Central Africa in areas split by the vast rainforest. One side is Western. I'm just trying to give you some info. While the other side is the Eastern gorillas. And gorillas are very, very social animals. We all know that. They live together in groups. But what is that group called? First person to come up with what's the group called? The gorilla lives in a family, but what's that called? Francesca got it. Troop. Alex?
Troop.
Alex stood there like, huh?
Troop.
And Francesca
What
got
she
it.
said.
She's got 2 points now. Alex 0.
Oh man, I should have said squad.
Yeah, troop. Thomas, yeah, troop. Eric, squad.
Band.
Yeah, it's a gorilla squad. This stuff's hard because we all know it. We've all heard it, but our brains don't keep the info. Okay. And a troop can contain up to 30 gorillas, just so you know. It's a lot.
It's a lot of them together.
I mean, there's enough there to surround y'all.
Do whatever they
I
want.
worry about like Snellgrove because your imagination runs wild. I was like, God, you know, there's more than one out there.
30 Bigfoots.
And you just wonder, do they have 20? Do they have 4? Do they have 8? Is it 10? What if it's 30 of them? You know, what if it's a whole darn tribe, like Maxim says? Okay. Gorillas are mainly herbivores, right?
Yes.
And they only eat plants, but they eat up to how many kilograms of food? Is it 30 or 60 kilograms of food?
60.
Alex says 60. Come on, guys. First person to put the right answer. Is it 60 or 30? And David. Is Susan playing? Susan Lawrence?
Jennifer's playing.
Jennifer is.
They're all playing against me.
At what age? Well, it's just kind of an average. I would imagine a male. Big one?
A big male.
A big giant male. 30
Giant.
or 60.
Silverback.
Don't you love it when you ask a question, they ask you a question on top of that question you already asked? Eric just gives a smiling face. 80. No, it's 30 or 60 kilograms. Eric says 30 kilograms is a lot. Patty guesses 30. What did you guess, Alex? 60.
I'm changing my answer to 30.
No. Okay, so
What did David vote?
I can't keep up. So many answers coming in.
Can I phone an audio
I think
expert?
Jennifer, it's not right. So it's 30. Eric got it right. 30 kilograms.
30.
It's 30. Alex, you're wrong again. You're still at 0.
I like them big.
So adult males and females are known as silverbacks. True or false? Adult males and females.
Just the males.
Just the males. Okay.
Yep.
Anybody want to challenge that answer? Eric says true. What? It's false. Nixon got it right. He's not even playing. Shannon got it right. She's not even playing. It's just males.
All right.
You got it right, right?
Yeah.
All right. So these powerful males can be up to 5 times more powerful than a human or 10 times stronger. 5 or 10 times stronger than a human.
5 or 10 times stronger than a human.
5 or 10 times.
10 times.
10 times?
Mm-hmm.
That's your guess?
Yes.
And who else got it? Eric said 10. He was the first to answer 10. David got it. Yeah, it's 10. And you said 10?
10. Yeah.
Damn, you got it. You got it right. All right. Yeah, it says they can tear down like banana trees. They can bend iron. And their bite is more powerful than a lion for the most part. But they're gentle giants, only using their full strength when they feel threatened, right? Like up at Snell.
Right. Like it's snow.
Yeah. Gorillas are very clever and have been recorded making and using tools. True or false? We know chimps do. We know orangs do. Do
Yeah.
gorillas? True or false?
Yes.
They
They
use
use
tools? Are you sure?
I'm a betting man.
So true or false, guys? Eric? It's not yes. It's a true or false. Eric, true. Okay. Yeah, it's true. I got to give that to Eric. And you said true, Alex?
Yeah.
Okay. Gorillas' nose prints or toe prints are as unique as a human fingerprints. Is it their nose prints or toe prints? Is a very unique and as unique as human fingerprints. Nose or toe prints?
Nose prints.
You're saying nose prints?
Yep.
I'm looking. David's kicking butt. Nose. Eric says
Nose.
toes. Susan says Susan's toes. Yes. And you said nose, Alex?
Yes, I did.
And didn't Eric say toes? Yeah, Eric, Susan. Gosh. I'm a terrible scorekeeper. It's nose prints. As a result, scientists can identify individual gorillas by paying close attention to the shape of their nose. Unique scars or marks on their faces also help. All right. This is a little weird. Gorillas share a whopping 98% of their DNA with humans. True or false? 98%. Or is it
True.
more or is it less? It's going to be trick questions. True or false?
True.
True. Alex says true. Eric says true. Yeah. David, true. Francesca, true. Yeah, it's true. 98% is the correct answer. It's crazy, isn't it? That we share that much DNA.
Yeah.
Primatologist Diane Fossey or Jane Goodall famously studied these incredible creatures. So was it Diane Fossey or Jane Goodall that studied gorillas in the wild?
Jane Goodall.
Eric goes, we share 98% with almost everything.
Or no, it's Jane Fossey.
Jane Fossey?
Yeah.
That's your answer, Jane Fossey.
Yeah.
It's Jane Goodall or Diane Fossey.
Yeah, Diane.
Jeez, you can't combine your names. That's just automatically wrong.
No, I get
You're
half
wrong.
point.
You're
I
just
get half
wrong.
a point.
So Francesca said Diane Fossey. Eric got it wrong. So Francesca got that one right for sure. Okay. Alex, you're just was terrible. Diane Goodall. A captive gorilla named Coco learned sign language and verbal talking. True or false?
True.
True. Okay, Alex. So a captive gorilla called Coco learned sign language and verbal talking. True or false? Alex, somebody said, Jermac said, you're a hoot. That was actually a question you had to answer. I don't know what owls made.
True.
True. Digger Dog says true. Jermac, true. Sharon's a sign language. Sorry, true. It's false. The answer is false. Just learn sign language only. Coco was as quiet as a mouse. So who said false? I'm looking. Susan said false.
I said false.
You did not.
Are you sure?
Did not.
I really did.
We're gonna have to do a replay on that. I'm not giving you credit on that. No, you didn't. You didn't say anything. I don't remember. Did you say false?
Yeah, I did.
You swear?
I went live on the air.
Okay, you got 3 right now, Alex. But you're kind of tight with some people.
Yeah. Usually I'm dead last.
Huh? All right.
Usually.
So apparently Coco did know 1,000 signs. Yep, and she understood more than 2,000 words. Coco did. That's a lot.
More words than I know.
Pretty big vocabulary. It's surpassing mine. All right. Coco created many beautiful sculptures throughout her life. True or false? Coco created sculptures throughout her life. True or false?
Yes.
Yes, Alex is true. True or false?
True.
Yeah, I remember when Robin Williams did that thing with Coco. David was the first one to say true. Alex said true. Eric Sorensen says false. And false. Okay, all right. Yeah. It's false. Just did paintings. She didn't do sculptures.
Trick question.
Yeah, she did paintings throughout her life. Yes. Yeah, she once took a photograph of herself in a mirror in 1978. Did it on her own. Took a photo of herself. She did a first animal selfie ever. All right. So hang on here. I got to get this. Jesus. Alex, you just got passed. All right. Are gorillas endangered? Just, are they endangered or critically endangered? Are they critically endangered or endangered? What status? Because they've been under conservation for a lot of years. So where do they stand? Where's their population?
Critically endangered.
Critically endangered.
Yeah.
Critically endangered. Critically, yep. Eric got it wrong. Francesca. All right. Last one. Are conservation's efforts working, true or false? So are conservation, in other words, when they counted them before they started conservation efforts, are they working, true or false?
They're not working.
They're not working. Okay. Alex says false. They're not working. Let's see. Erica says true. Francesca, yes. You can't say yes or no, Francesca. You gotta be true or false. Now Eric changes the answer to true. David, true. All right. It's true. There are now, the last count, 1,063 of these awesome apes found in the wild. In the wild. Now that doesn't sound like much, but apparently that's a lot. They said it's like the most that they've ever had. 1,063. It's not much.
Nothing.
It's smaller than our, it's a lot smaller than our YouTube audience. It's crazy, huh?
Yeah.
So they're not out of danger. That's why they're critically endangered. And that's it. That's all I've got on that. Let's bring David on and get this weird audio cooking, and then I'll do my tech breakdown. But so let's welcome David Ellis from the Olympic Project. There he is.
Hi guys.
Hey David.
How are you guys?
Hey, and I was going to say, how are we doing on time? We got Maxim in the back room. Do we want to have?
Well,
him
we're going
on?
to do this, and then we can bring Max on.
Okay.
I'll be real short. It won't.
Yeah,
take
this
long
isn't
to-
real long, but we'll do this tech breakdown. We're
Perfect.
so let me throw some context to this clip.
Perfect.
So I believe it was night one where we would put cameras out around the cabin. I'm listening to them live. I hear what sounds like a rock throw, like hit the camera. Like it was tink right on the camera because it really got my attention. And I'm listening and I heard another one. And then I remember handing the phone so Adam could listen to my phone live. And then we hear a voice, kind of a gibberish. We don't know what it says, but I mean, so clear. It was almost as if whatever it was talked into the mic. Right. And so if you believe in EVPs, that's your thing. That's kind of what it sounded like because it was live. And it just sent goosebumps through all of us because it was loud. And I, didn't know what it said. We had some theories, got it to David, and David's been working on it. And that's where we'll leave it. But here's what's interesting. We all heard it live come from the speaker on my phone, which, it's not hooked to anything other than the camera at that point. I mean, there's not even radio waves up there. There's nothing. So, and apparently that meant a lot. Correct, David?
Yeah, it did.
Go ahead.
When you sent me the audio clip, you said, hey, David, just, tell me what you think, what you hear. No context. So I was flying without a parachute there, not knowing what happened, what was going on. And when I first heard the voice, I went, uh-oh, that's from their group, because it's so human-like. So what I do is I put the audio in a spectrogram because that's when I can really figure out detail. And there's signatures to human voices that I'm familiar seeing, of course, throughout all the recordings I've reviewed over the years. But
yeah, and
there's also,
you've analyzed 8,500 recordings so far. Correct?
those are just some of the clips that I've got from the audio is much broader than that. The number of hours, thousands of hours.
Well, you're cutting out, David. Your internet's flaking out.
Oh no!
Just
You want me to
second.
lean into it a little? Does that help?
It might. Sure. Go ahead and try it.
Okay,
Here we
so
Keep going.
Alex, can you pull up the spectrogram, the JPEG file first?
Yeah, Alex, go ahead and play that. The actual audio. Untouched audio.
I saw switch it.
No, that's David. No. Play
It's
the
both.
untouched.
It's both.
No, I
it's
know, but
both.
there's one I gave Alex that's been untouched, the raw audio.
I have 2 clips. This is
Yeah.
one of them I have. I saw switch it. I saw
No.
switch it.
Okay, no. Stop,
saw-
please. Do you have the other clip, Alex?
I have that and a 4-second clip.
Yes, play the 4-second clip.
I saw switch it.
Can you play that a couple times?
I saw switch it. I saw switch it.
Okay, now you can play David's.
Okay, so you want me to set this up, Alex?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so the first sound you're going to hear is the sound that you recorded. This is me mimicking what I think I hear, and it's looped 5 times. So go ahead and play it.
I saw switch it. I saw switch it. I saw switch it. I saw switch it. I saw switch it.
So what we get is,
I saw switch it. I saw switch it. Go ahead, David.
okay, so what I did was I compiled the two, the suspicious sound compared to my voice, because I was certain that my ears were telling me that what I heard was human voice. You can see in the signature, I've got it on the far left. They're
But what
circled
the
in
hell?
a
Okay,
box.
stop, guys. David, we can only hear every other word you're saying. Maybe you can just
Oh,
can
no.
you shut his camera off, or, David? Shut your camera off. That might give you more bandwidth. There we go. Now talk.
Okay, so can you hear me better?
Better, yes.
Am I
Yes.
cutting out?
Nope.
Oh,
Okay, all right. Okay, I'm not sure what you want to do if we can't.
Well, I want you to
hear me.
explain the spectrogram, what you did.
Okay, so I combined the suspicious voice to my voice. So, what you see in that first box to the left that's got the question marks under it is the suspicious voice, and the one right next to it is my voice. And you can see right off the bat that my harmonics are much more full, much more clear, much more distinct than one on the left. And the one on the left resonates in a much smaller, compact area, somewhere between 400 hertz and 3,500 hertz, where my voice ranges from 200 hertz all the way up to 13,000 hertz. So my voice is complicated than the first voice, which also matches other suspicious gibberish signatures that have been recorded all across North America. So one, it has something in common, whereas my voice is very distinct. You can't mistake it for a suspicious voice. You just can't do it. So when I saw that, I was much more relieved that I could go back to you, Doug, and say, well, I'm pretty sure you got a suspicious character here. And then the context story made it that much more clear to me that something did get very close to the recorder and left a good, distinct voice signature that does not compare to my voice as a human. So whatever you recorded, it sounds like, and if a skeptic were just to listen to it, they would say, that's a human. But I can show you in a spectrogram, it's not.
So you're okay. So if I did that same thing, or anybody,
yes,
it would show you this thing is not human.
Correct.
Okay.
It matches other suspicious signatures across North America more than it does come close to matching human signatures.
Yeah, unfortunately, David, we have a really bad connection, so not sure our audience heard everything. We got to get you hooked up with Starlink.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. One of the things I do know that with these weird supposed Bigfoot sounds, there's like a whole missing fundamental. Is that fundamental missing in those recordings?
No, that's not it's the long howl. It's the ooh to ah transition that creates that missing fundamental.
Okay.
Where in the howl itself slides from the main fundamental up to the first harmonic, which gives the illusion that it's not there.
Yeah. So what's your conclusion on this at this point?
It's the best Jewish got across North America. Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's good.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll talk later, David. Sorry about the connection.
Yeah. Sorry, David.
Yeah, me too.
It's just the way it goes. You know, you were just fine during the test, and then of course it all goes down.
Of course.
The fun of live. Okay, thanks.
So should we get Maxim on? I know we're running.
Well, no, just hang on, Alex. Relax. Okay. So I want to throw up. There was a photo of a periscope. I want to talk about periscopes real quick. There you go. That is it. This is just a simple periscope. Many of us played with these when we were kids. But this is something new. I like to come up with ideas that are cheap, simple, that you can try. You can cut a hole in your tent, just a small slit, put this through, seal it off with duct tape. Now, if you hear something out of your tent, there's a non-electronic way for you to look outside. And it's a little less intimate than just, sticking your eye up to the, it's much safer than just sticking your eye up to the hole. You could use this in campers and RVs, higher windows. You can film through it. So I just think for, what these cost, certainly under $30, you could have all sorts of things. There have been some people that have gotten game cameras and other cameras to actually get good, once again, this is claimed, good Bigfoot footage using mirrors or periscopes. So it's something that you don't have to try to make. You can just go on Amazon and you can just buy one. And yeah, it's a toy. But all they consist of is 2 mirrors, 45-degree angle. And that's all you're going to need to do this. But I think it's great. It can give you a lot of courage looking around corners, looking out a window that can still have the curtain. So you don't have to stick your whole head under the curtain to look out the window. You just slip this through, up, paint it black so it's completely hidden, stick that up and take a peek. And I wished I would have had one at Snell. I really do. So there you go.
You don't want to get your head
pulled
out of the window.
It's just a little unnerving. You hear something outside that's big, and it's unnerving to throw the curtain aside and stick your head there. This is much more inanimate. It's less likely to upset an animal. I've proven with bears, without a doubt, they are not upset with inanimate objects. Animals do not generally, if that's what we're dealing with, do not associate inanimate objects with danger. So there you go. Periscope is inanimate. So give it a try if that seems to, fill a need in your research. Try it out. They're cheap. All right, done. All right, Max. So Maxim Furek, Maxim W. Furek. So I've never met Max, but he's an avid student of the paranormal. His eclectic background includes aspects of psychology, addictions. He's been a rock journalist. He has a master's degree in communications from Bloomsburg University and a bachelor's degree in psychology from Aquinas College. Maxim has written numerous rock biographies and paranormal themed books, such as Flying Saucers, Esoteric, The Altered States of Ufology. And there's just quite a number of books he's written, correct?
Yes. Number.
Yes.
Prolific.
Yes. But his new book, The Lost Tribes of Bigfoot, is why he's on our show. It's what we're interested in, and it's what we're going to talk about tonight. And I love the cover. I mean, that alone, I want to read this book, and I have not read it yet. So I'm going to read it right after this, after the interview. So I'm looking forward to it. So anyhow, let's bring on Maxim.
Hey, Max.
Hey guys, how you doing? I'm going to hit this. It says "Got it," and click that.
Yeah, click it.
It'll either explode or
yeah.
into the studio.
That's what happens to me every time these pop-ups come through. They're constantly messing with the software.
Now listen, I don't want to muck this up from the beginning, but I had always heard that man shared 98% of the DNA with chimpanzees and bonobos. I never heard that about gorillas.
Yeah, it's yeah, 90. I think with chimps it's more. I think it's almost 99.4 or some damn thing with chimps. So we're closer relatives to chimps than gorillas.
Yeah, I wanted to write a book called The 2%. You know, I mean, if we just have 2% different DNA, what is that? What does that encompass? You know, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
What makes us human? So.
Well, I don't know how well you've followed or thought about DNA improving the Bigfoot species, but it's that little 2% that we need to really dig into.
Yeah.
Right. That's where everybody just ignores that. And every time I get something tested, they go, "Oh, it's human. It must be contaminated." It's like, no, we want to dig into that last little percentage because that's what needs to be studied. Don't you agree?
Oh, I agree. Yeah. But listen, I want to thank you, first of all, for inviting me onto the program. I'm just excited about this and excited about the Lost Tribes of Bigfoot. And, it's just great. I've had a number of conversations with Alex. So, I just think that my book brings a new perspective. And,
absolutely.
And I was on the Sasquatch experience with Sean Forker the other night. And he was saying that, like I covered a lot of the traditional information about Bigfoot, as we do. But he said that I brought a different slant, a different perspective to it. And he had some really kind things to say. So, and also about you folks and what you're doing. So, so again, this is great. And I hope that you can hear me. I mean,
no, you sound great. How do you make this transition? How do you go from being a rock journalist to
what the hell?
Bigfoot book?
What happened, Maxim?
Well, here's the thing, Doug. You could wear as many hats as you like. I mean, it's your life. So you're writing the chapters of your book. So just as an example, I gave a couple of presentations. And remind me to get back on track. But I did a couple of presentations called Catholic Mysticism. And I had over 100 people at these churches, and the one was for the Knights of Columbus down in Florida. But I talked about miracles and mystics. I talked about Saint Teresa of Avila, Padre Pio, just some interesting stuff. Pope John the 23rd, and that is just like such exciting stuff. And there's a need for that. I mean, a lot of Catholics like this stuff, exorcisms, etc. So anyway, that's something that I dabbled in, and but I was a psychologist, and I was in charge of a drug and alcohol program. So the sex, drugs, and rock and roll go hand in hand. I was into the rock and roll. I wrote a number of books that were successful, and I was writing a book about the song Timothy. The song Timothy came out in 1971. It was by a group from northeastern Pennsylvania called the Boys, Buoys. Timothy, written by Rupert Holmes, was about cannibalism in a mine shaft. So he wrote the song just to evoke controversy and to get the Boys some notoriety.
I remember that song well.
Yeah, so
they played the heck out of it in Minneapolis.
They did, and then we found out what it was about, and then they had that gross factor. So everybody said, yeah. But anyway, I started to do some research and realized that the song Timothy from 71 seemed to parallel what happened in Shepton, Pennsylvania in 1963. 3 guys were entombed for 2 weeks. Only 2 came out. There were allegations of cannibalism back then as there are today. And even the son of the guy that was allegedly cannibalized believes that his dad may have been eaten. I mean, every time they interview him, he says that. So it's bizarre. But as I was researching Shepton, I found aspects of out-of-body experiences, afterlife experiences, and near-death experiences. There were humanoid creatures. There was just all kinds of paranormal things. So this book came out the first day of 2016. And guys, I've been in this paranormal realm for 9 years. It's taken me 9 years to get to this point. But the Shepton mythology really did well. It got me into podcasts, got me into conferences and everything. Got me a 90-minute segment on Australia's mysterious universe. Got me beat up in the Skeptical Inquirer, but they did say my book was the definitive book on the topic. And so then I wrote Coal Region Hoodoo, which was an extension of that. And if any of you listeners have any interest, I mean, you can see in the background, Coal Region Hoodoo, just jump on Amazon or whatever, marketplace you go to, and just read some of those reviews of Coal Region Hoodoo. I mean, like when I read them, I get chills. I mean, it's just like, it's like I've been accepted by the paranormal community. So Coal Region Hoodoo and Flying Saucer Esoteric. And then this came about from my good friend, Dr. Dean Bertram, who told me about Hangar One and how generous and altruistic you guys are. So here I am. Lost Tribes of Bigfoot is being published by Hangar One. And again, for the listeners out there, listen to this. Here's the big reveal. We have a thing called IBT, Immersive Book Technology. And throughout the book, like maybe 8 or 9 places throughout the book, and I got to choose them, there's a little QR code. And what you do is you take your phone, and you can do this, even if you're over like 60, you can do this. You take your phone's camera, you hit that QR code, you press the little yellow square rectangle, and it'll have a little 3-minute video of me doing a synopsis of the chapter. So it's
That's
just
cool. Yeah, very
wonderful technology. I think it's really innovative, and I'm spreading the word here, with my social media, and people have never heard it, and they just think it's wow, it's like the greatest thing. So how did that come about, by the way, that technology?
Well, the whole thing is, if we're going to get into the publishing business, we wanted to kind of reinvent it and do something that no one has ever done. And so obviously QR codes have been used for advertising for years.
Yeah.
But nobody had ever used it for enhancing books. And so we thought this is just, one way we can reinvent and change the publishing industry, because we can put video and or audio or both.
Yeah.
And for instance, if we, later on something really cool happens, we can update your book with even more video, and it lives on our server. We bought this huge server that's just this, very expensive machine. So there'll never be a broken QR link.
That's, that I was wondering how that was going to work. It works. I mean, like I'm wowed. So,
Yeah.
Job well done.
So that was just kind of a Hajicek's using our brains together, as.
Yeah.
And
I wanted one of those periscopes too, like I'll paint it black, but we could get that.
I think, as simple as stupid as a periscope. One of the first things my dad did for me when I was a boy, I was probably 4, and he goes, "Hey, you want to build something really cool?" So we sat at the kitchen table and got some cardboard out and some little mirrors he had, and he built me a periscope. I treasured that thing, and I used it to do all sorts of, spying on my family and all sorts of, it was just so cool to be.
Yeah.
It's almost like quantum. You're in one area, but you're watching another. No electronics, and it was just magical.
Yeah. Oh,
and so I like to come up with something new every week for
Wow.
people to just try. Something is going to ring a bell. And I always tell people, if we're ever going to get footage, Maxim, it's going to be a multi-step process. It won't just be hanging a damn game trail camera on a tree. It's going to be something a little different, a little extra. So
I go out there all the time. My wife and I are snowbirds, winters in Florida and summers in Pennsylvania. And when we're out in the woods, I'm looking all the time. I'm looking, I'm hoping, I want to see it. It's, we'll see. But
yeah.
Well, it's a sacred thing when you see something like that. It's special. Not everybody gets to see Sasquatch, but those that do, there's a reason for that. I think it's a special thing, and and that's a gift.
Well, I've been lucky enough now to see a number of them, and even at close range. 2 of them at very close range, but they had their back turned to me as if to say, "You're not worth looking at." So it's still not a real sighting until you see their eyes, their face, their mouth, their expression.
Yeah.
It's just like, that's my quest, is to see their face, but I'm also afraid. Why do you think people are so afraid of Bigfoot, Maxim?
I don't know if they're afraid. I mean, I'm just filled with awe and wonder, and I would like to see that. I'll tell you what, my neighbor, this guy Joe Lipinski, he's in the book. He's a hospital technician, and I was talking to Joe. He's a level-headed guy, and we live in a small little mountain town called Macanaqua. So Joe was at the cemetery paying respects to his son, and as he pulled out on the tree line, he saw 2 creatures that he said were Bigfoot. One was a larger one. It was black colored. The other one was smaller, was cinnamon colored. So I asked them, how they responded, and they turned around and looked at him and then walked away, human-like, with a human-like gait. So I interviewed him, and I said, could I have permission to go and, document this? He said, yeah. So I contacted the Pennsylvania Bigfoot guys, and that's Eric Altman, Stan Gordon, and Timothy Renner. And with Stan Gordon, we're lucky to have a guy like him, because whenever the state police get any reports about Bigfoot, cryptids, or UFOs, they'll tell people to just call Stan Gordon. So Stan Gordon has been able to amass this incredible amount of data of sightings, who saw them when, etc. So he's written, Strange Invasion. He's written about 3 or 4 books about this, but he's the keeper of the keys. Stan Gordon's done a really good job out there in Western Pennsylvania.
Well, what's so cool about Stan is he's such a great communicator.
Yeah, exactly.
He just taking reports, no biggie, but he's organized, and he remembers. He can read something, and remember it word for word, and be able to communicate what happened.
Yeah, we're really fortunate to have somebody like him out there in Western Pennsylvania, in the area that we call Chestnut Ridge. And I have a chapter in the Lost Tribes of Bigfoot about Chestnut Ridge. It's our weird, like there's 4 counties there where we see not only Bigfoot, but Bigfoot and UFOs. Now, I remember the first time I ever heard that, I thought, this is like crazy. This is nonsense. But there's been a lot of these joint sightings, and it points to some sort of a paranormal aspect. And I know a lot of guys are out there looking for the flesh and blood and looking for the knocks, the sounds, the DNA and all that. And that's fine. I'm sort of on the other side. I think some of the campfire boys call me like a woo-woo, or what I do is a woo-woo, but I take a look at.
But well, let me interrupt you,
Yeah.
Maxim. Do you think they're metaphysical? When they're here, and when they're not, they're not?
Well, I think there's a couple of things. One, I think certain people have a gift. They have an ability. They have some sort of altered state of perception where they can actually perceive these things that are always there. Well, they see them, we don't. The other thing is that, I think that they're interdimensional. And again, I share the same ideas as, say, John Keel, Jacques Vallée, Albert Einstein, that they're interdimensional, that they zigzag, that they bilocate, that you see them in front of you and then they're behind you. It's the only explanation for how they're able to shape shift, from one place to the other. I'll tell you another thing too, that I don't know if this has any connection or even makes any sense, but when I do my presentation on Catholic mysticism, I talk about Padre Pio. And Padre Pio was this priest in Italy that had stigmata. He bled the wounds of Christ. And the priest didn't believe it. He thought he was a con artist. I mean, they were trying to figure out, why would thousands of people come to this little place in Italy just, and because they thought this guy was delusional and he was convincing the people that his delusions were real. But they took bandages, they put gauze around his wounds, and they waited 6 or 7 days, removed the gauze, and they were looking for signs of scarring. They wanted to see if he was human just like the rest of us. Well, there were no scarring. It was still raw. He was still bleeding. So the stigmata lasted pretty much his whole life. But the thing I wanted to say that Padre Pio seems to have in common with Bigfoot, maybe, is this thing. You use the term bilocation. And there's documentation that Padre Pio was at this one place giving a presentation, being seen by hundreds and hundreds of people. At the same time, Padre Pio was next door in another town doing the same thing, singing and dancing and drinking the wine, and everybody saw him. 2 places at the same time, documented. And again, the Catholic Church didn't know what to do with this guy, because he was off the charts. He was off the Richter. They couldn't figure it out. They thought this was a big con artist. And his whole life, not only did he suffer the stigmata, but he suffered the humiliation of being, ignored or degraded or chastised for being a con man. I mean, it was just an incredible thing. But there's a place in Pennsylvania, in Bartow, Pennsylvania. There's a monastery built in his honor that has all kinds of Padre Pio stuff. So I'm a big fan. So I just love this stuff. And I believe that the paranormal and spiritual have a really close link to the scientific. We just don't know what the terms are, what the cause and effect are. So I think when you asked earlier about being a rock journalist and a paranormal author, it's all the same. We're all the, same vibration, same brotherhood, same everything. So it's all good.
Well, where I stand is I don't know anything. I'm just going to stay in that realm, because I don't know anything.
Yeah.
Nothing. But I do know that I'm trying to get evidence. There's some new areas of evidence I'm trying to document, and do what we can with it, because there's a lot of people that don't study them because they're like, well, they're paranormal or they're whatever. There's nothing to study. I disagree. There's a lot to study.
I'll tell you,
they leave footprints.
When you talk about fear, I've run across people that when I tell them about my books and I use the word paranormal, they start running. So I don't know if they see horns coming from my head or 666 on my forehead or whatever, but they there's something about that word that they think is evil, is satanic, and it's just amazing. I mean, come on, people. This is 2024. It's not the Middle Ages. So,
well, I want to dive into your book now. Okay, you've got it. It's the Lost Tribes of Bigfoot. Can you explain the title? Let's start there. Explain that title.
Yeah, well, you had the perfect introduction, Doug. You said that we don't know anything. So, what we do is we try to find genres and definition and names, and we try to slot, these things into certain theories. And hopefully, that's the best we can do. So, there's been all these theories about Gigantopithecus and Neanderthal, missing links, and, Yeti, Sasquatch, Bigfoot, swamp ape, all that. I mean, you've got a whole plethora, if I can use that word, of these cryptids out there. So I metaphorically use the word tribes, the lost tribes of Bigfoot. So what I do is I take a look at all these. I take a look at the theories and try to make sense of it. And again, like you, not knowing anything, just at the end concluding with my own conclusions and perceptions. And again, that's the best we could be. But the best we can do for this field of cryptozoology is to do our homework, do the research. If you have a theme, an idea, then validate it by another researcher's ideas or quotes. And again, with the book, make sure that it's proofread and that it's smooth and everything else, because you owe that to your reader. And again, I want to thank you guys. I want to thank Alex and everybody else with Hangar One for turning out an incredible book and an exquisite book. I mean, it's beautiful. I love it. It's I love having it up here in my library, and so that's what that was. The Lost Tribes of Bigfoot represents all of the hypotheses and possibilities that we've talked about.
Well, the Native Americans mentioned them as a tribe. I mean, that was quite common.
Right. And, and then we started to find out that, after Bigfoot became a big thing in the Pacific Northwest, we started to find out that, hey, wait a second, the indigenous peoples in British Columbia, knew about this and had totem poles, and they had the songs and the messages and the oral tradition talking about this, and saying either that to see a Sasquatch was a blessing, or it could be a curse, or a common theme that was that Bigfoot was a protector of the environment and warning us to go and preserve the sanctity of that environment. So when you asked about being afraid of Bigfoot, that's not my. I mean, I don't know what I would do when I came around that corner and saw one, but I don't have any fear. I just have a lot of awe and respect. And I talk in my book, in The Lost Tribes of Bigfoot, about the woman in California that was eaten by a bear. And then I conclude that as far as I know, there's never been any documentation of a human being killed by a Bigfoot. So whether that's, hopefully that's still true. But
yeah, I mean, there's stories and legends about that, but there's no definitive proof that these are animals to be feared, but something with the kind of strength that they appear to have is quite intimidating. Very intimidating.
Right. Yeah. When I'm doing my hikes, I could just picture something out there, loping and with the broad shoulders and everything else. I mean, it's just, and I have a chapter called "Is Bigfoot Our New Religion?" And I think part of this quest is spiritual. Bigfoot sort of mimics organized religion in a sense, finding a higher power, having a group of people that share common values, that camaraderie, that, going into the woods and, having the sacrifice, the communion, the whole thing. So it's just a wonderful thing. And it's not a sacrilegious thing. It's not that at all. I mean, the thing of it is we get to pick and choose, as far as religion, who our higher power is. And that's between us and our God, nobody else's business. And that's my red line in the sand there. But I do sort of go to war with the creationists in my book. And like I said, my wife and I are snowbirds in Florida. So on the way back to Pennsylvania, I talked her into this 1,800-mile trip that was through the mountains of Kentucky and West Virginia. It was like a real hoot, but we were looking for things to do in Kentucky. We'd never been to Kentucky. So I'm looking at Lexington, and there was a brochure or something. I don't know. Maybe I saw it online, but you could, for $40, you could have lunch with goats. So my wife didn't want to have lunch with goats, so we nixed that. But there was Noah's, I know, it was funny, Noah's Ark, which was in Williamstown, just north of Lexington, Kentucky. So we thought, yeah, we heard about that. So this is the world's largest wooden structure, and they built it to the same specifications as in the Bible, that a cubit, for so many cubits, that from the end of the elbow to the longest point of the finger. So that was a cubit. So they had these Amish people build it, and it's really impressive. But I like that part. The part that I didn't like, though, was that they would have cages for all the animals that went with Noah. And by the way, Noah was 500 years old, according to the Bible, when he started to build this. He was 600 years old when the floods came. So that was kind of interesting in itself. But what got my interest was that they had cages of all the animals, 2x2, the giraffes and everything else. They had cages for T-Rex and Tyrannosaurus, little baby T-Rex. And I looked at my wife and she looked at me. I'm thinking, wow. And this is anti-science. And I want to just talk a little bit about that, if I may, because I think we need to go and underscore, if there's a lie, call it out. If there's a deception, call it out. But there was a thing called the KT event. It's the Cretaceous Tertiary Extinction Event. And what it was either an asteroid or a comet or something that came down into the Yucatan Peninsula, and it destroyed all of the non-avian dinosaurs, the large ones and the small ones. Now, how do we know this? Well, we found a thing called iridium. It's a element that you find in outer space. And they were able to find that in the fossil record approximately when these dinosaurs were going to be extinct. And then that was in the 80s. And then in the 1990s, some Mexican researchers found the exact crater that came down on the Yucatan Peninsula that caused all this thing. So according to the creationist at Noah's Ark, man and dinosaur walked the earth at the same time. I'm saying no, they didn't. Dinosaurs had been destroyed. Man came, I think it was millions of years later. The dinosaurs were destroyed. I think it was 66 million years earlier, and then man came about. So, the KT event is something that is recognized and authorized and approved by the scientific community. And that's what I'm standing by. And when you have people that are doing the anti-science, I think we have to make our voices loud and clear, because we have plenty of not only deceivers and hoaxers, but people like this that are just making up science. And frankly, it pisses me off. There's a better way to take a look at that. We got to use some common sense. And so your thoughts on that?
Well, okay, Cryptid Search just made a statement, said almost all the Bigfoot researchers I know are Christians.
Okay.
That's an interesting statement, and it's something I don't put a lot of thought into, that kind of stuff. What I put thought in is, what can I do to help prove their existence? Because to still most of the population, it's a laughable. You bring up the topic, most people, they don't think about it. They don't know anything about it. And it's just kind of blown off. And then there's other people that seem to be educated, and they understand this. But I've never paid any attention to what Cryptid Search just said. And I find that really interesting.
But let's say this too for the cryptid searchers that are listening to this. This is not what I'm saying is not anti-Christian in any way. This might be anti-creationist because I think that some of their ideas are just folly. They're just anti-science. So yeah, I call them out. But and again, there's many different aspects of Christianity. There's a lot of different ways. I mean, this isn't, there's not just one way. So this is not anything that is anti-Christian in any way. And I just want to preface that and make sure that that's understood.
Okay, well let's get down to the kind of the foundation of Bigfoot and the mystery. Now the mystery stands because one, it's fueled every day by new sightings. It's not going to go away. We can ignore it all we want. It ain't going away. It's also fueled by double witnesses. That happens quite often.
Mm-hmm.
I've been a double witness. Every sighting I've had somebody with me, which is great because you don't have to question yourself and your own sanity at that point. But where do you place like a double witness? I mean, do you think that it's possible in most cases for just one of the people to see the Bigfoot, or how do you figure that a double witness?
Well, I think in my Shepton book, the two guys that were rescued, they saw things, and some of the naysayers were trying to say that it was some sort of a dual psychosis, or that the one person sort of encouraged the other person to have the same idea. But I don't believe that. You talked about fear earlier. A lot of people are afraid to come out and say, look, I've seen things. I've seen this. They're
Sure.
afraid because they're going to be looked at as being a lunatic or needy, wanting attention, whatever the thing is. And so I think a lot of people are held back by that fear.
Yep.
Rather than us immediately saying, okay, you saw something, what is it? Tell me about it. I mean, I have, I'm no expert and I know nothing, but I have people coming up to me all the time telling me about the orbs that they see and also about the dead people that they talk to. I swear to God, I mean, like if I had a quarter for every time I got one of these, I mean, I could take all of us to Aruba. So, but
well, like we were up at this. I just got back from an expedition, and we were in the wilds of Canada. 500 square miles of territory all to ourselves.
Mhm.
Flown in by a float plane, dropped off. Everybody in camp, everyone saw multiple orbs.
Wow.
I didn't.
Yeah.
But in past trips I have up there.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never associated them to any of the Bigfoot activity that I've experienced up there either.
Yeah.
I
do hold on to that thought that some people have a gift. They have an ability to see things. They have a different perception.
Better radios. They have a radio that it's tuned into that frequency.
I think. I mean, call it what you will.
Yeah.
That has to be something. Possibility that needs to be explored.
But when you're in a cabin and a big rock goes kaboom on the side of the cabin, it doesn't matter who the hell you are.
Yeah.
What you think, what you believe, it doesn't. What you perceive, we all hear it.
Yeah.
I've been in that cabin so many times with different groups of people. We didn't get attacked really hard this time, but in past trips we have. And it's scary.
Yeah.
Because they're throwing like a cord of wood at the side of the cabin with great strength, and it's kaboom. It gets everybody up.
That would put some fear into me too.
It does, because you start thinking I'm in a bad horror movie.
Yeah.
I don't even know where I was going with this. My point is I do believe that some people see more stuff, right? But I also believe that you can't see any stuff unless you're looking for it. You got to get off your damn couch. You got to get outside. You got to get, if you want to see UFOs, you better be outside looking at the stars.
Mm-hmm.
You better be taking walks at night. You cannot just be at home on your couch.
Mm-hmm.
We went to great lengths to get where we were, 12-hour drive, and then, a long flight. And it costs money. I mean, the point I'm trying to make. if you want experiences, you don't necessarily have to have your radio tuned in. You just got to expose yourself.
Yeah, good point.
And then, of course, there's luck too, Max.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, luck is luck. I don't know how you explain it, but some people I've met have never seen a UFO even, ever, nothing.
Yeah.
And then they've come out and hung out with me, and suddenly they witness their first really good UFO or good orb.
So how do you explain that?
I don't know what to tell you. It could just, once again, be coincidence or luck.
Yeah.
So I'm just never, I'm very slow to come to any conclusion. I'm sure I'll die with zero conclusions, which is kind of sad. And I don't know, do we even need conclusions? So there's a good question for you, Max. Do we need conclusions?
Yeah, we do. You know, man's made in the likeness of God, and one of our purposes, we search for meaning, and that's what we do. And if you can't find something, well, there's a mechanism called confabulation. I'll give you a good example. Like when somebody is knocked out, blacked out, you know, a lot of times there's that space, that gap. There's nothing there, and the psyche needs that balance, that homeostasis. So it'll confabulate. It'll make something up to fit in that empty space, whether that is being abducted by space brothers or seeing a cryptid or whatever.
Well, I believe that can happen, but doesn't that just, what if there's only just a few people that confabulate and the others don't? See, this is where it gets to be what Stanton Friedman used to call his gray basket.
Yeah.
You know, and it does become a big gray basket because there's so many different types of people.
Yeah, Stan was
liars,
a great
hoaxers.
guy. Yeah, when I was researching the Philadelphia experiment, I had contacted him, and you know, he was very helpful. I think he was in the Pittsburgh area, but you know, he was a great guy.
Yeah, no, Stan was, and I used to hang out with him a bit and traveled with him, and I went on UFO investigations with him, like even the Phoenix Lights I was with Stan.
Wow.
I was at his side,
yeah.
And he was brilliant, but he had never seen anything ever. And I also never saw Stan spending a bunch of time outside at night either.
Okay.
He wasn't that type, you know. He was the type to go to dinner.
Yeah.
8 o'clock, I'm tired. Stan would, you know, hit the hay.
Yeah.
I didn't blame him. He was just kind of, that was his deal.
Yeah.
Well, I would sit up till 2, 3 in the morning outside enjoying fresh air.
Yeah. I think one of the last things he did was he did a book about Betty and Barney Hill and the abduction case.
Well, that was good. I thought that was one of the first things he did.
No, I think it was with either Betty or Barney's relative, maybe the daughter-in-law. I'm not sure, but they collaborated on that, and I think.
Yeah. There was a new book, right?
Book.
I think you're right. Yeah, we had
before he died. So
it was Betty's sister. Yes.
Okay, Betty's sister. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, we've had her on our show.
Okay, good.
But my point is, there's just so many types of people, so many people that you do experience a lot of things, and there's tons of people that I do meet that they didn't believe in this thing and they never even thought about it, but they were hunting one day, and there it was, and it was life-changing at that point. And that's really interesting too, because they certainly didn't seem like the type that were, you know, wanting to, never occurred to them.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't think about it. So it's such a mixed bag, but doesn't that mixed bag, Max, cloud the whole damn picture for everybody? You know, the mixed bag of hoaxes, real sightings, double sightings.
But there's a mixed bag, but there's also a war going on. You know, we have a lot of violence out there. We have a war with the scientific community versus cryptozoologists. You know, they think we're flaky and anti-science and all the other stuff, and you know, we many times we don't get a whole lot of respect that we should. And there's a war, I believe, between our ranks with you know, people looking for the flesh and blood versus people that, like me, that are looking at either an interdimensional theory or mass hypnosis or even Jung's collective unconscious, which really is is an interesting theories, and I explore those in the Lost Tribes of Bigfoot. Just trying to make sense of this and saying, if it's not flesh and blood, then what is it? So,
But did your book start from the premise that they're not? So it kind of starts there.
no, actually, I didn't know. I didn't have. It was a journey. I mean, I didn't know where the end was going to be. I started to write about it because of my interest. And basically what happened was, let's see, there was 2023, the Coal Region Hoodoo came out. And I had 2 chapters on Bigfoot, the Bigfoot Enigma and the Bigfoot Hypotheses. And all of a sudden, I get invited to all these, and this just happened, like it was like boom, boom, boom. I get invited to these Bigfoot expos in Pennsylvania. And I was down there in Florida at the Ocala Bigfoot Expo. Jeff Meldrum was there, David Pallades, all these people. It was really well attended. But I was interviewed by a Tallahassee podcaster. But the floodgates just open. I mean, explain that. I mean, 2 chapters of my book, and all of a sudden, like the Bigfoot realm is opening up the doors to me. And so I thought that, I wanted to go and explore this, scientifically, academically. I wanted to bring something new and different and fresh to the field. So that's what I attempted to do with the Lost Tribes of Bigfoot.
What's one of the new things that you learned? What was something that really was wow to you in writing this book?
Well, one thing I did is I think I wanted to correct a bunch of misconceptions. The thing about the creationists, that's certainly one thing. The dinosaurs and that. Man did not walk the earth with dinosaurs. I wanted to go and underscore that, as loudly as I can. The other one was about the missing link theory, and there is no missing link, even though a lot of people are looking for it. Man and ape had a common ancestor. And at one point, all the apes left, they split, they went up the trees, they evolved successfully. And then a little bit later, man did the same thing, split from that common ancestor, went up the trees, and then came down as Homo erectus and Homo sapiens and learned fire and tools and the art of waging war and all that. 2 distinct species, one common ancestor. We did not come from apes. There's no missing link. And anybody that tries to talk about missing link is just got their science wrong and doesn't understand science and all that. And of course, we had the Piltdown Man and the what is it? The Iceman, Frank Hansen's Minnesota Iceman. Yeah, I'm blocking on Minnesota. But anyway, you had these people that tried to claim that this was the missing link, and you had people. And listen to this.
Well, that was the common term when I was, a kid. It was the missing link, the missing link, the missing link.
But with the Piltdown Man, this became a scientific/political battle. And what happened was in Germany, they discovered the Heidelberg Man. So this was like one of the earliest, Homo sapiens hominoids that we found. And so this guy, Charles Dawson, a lawyer, an amateur, fossil collector, claimed that he found this Piltdown Man. And what it was a hoax. It was just the skull of a human being and the jaw of an orangutan. He put iron oxide on it and he carved it up and everything and made it look older than it was. But both the scientific community and the political community wanted to have their own, hominoid. And so they embraced the Piltdown Man, even though it was anti-science, even though it held us back. And they did it just for nationalistic pride and for a lot of other things. And that was pretty much disgraceful. So I talk about the Piltdown Man and what that did, what it meant, what it represented. But it was a hoax that instead of getting us further ahead and educating us and everything, it held us back because of all these, because of all these other reasons. So that was just an interesting example a hoax, of why a hoax was able to be perpetrated. And, people wanted it. They wanted that missing link. They wanted to hold on to that missing link. Well, there is no missing link. And that's one thing that
if we get DNA of a Bigfoot, where do you think it's going to end up landing? Would you want to make a prediction?
Say that again?
If we get DNA analyzed, the full thing, so we know, what the difference is, how close we are, where do you think it might land?
Oh, that would be, that would change everything. I mean, that would turn everything upside down. I mean, guys like me would be changing our narrative, and everybody would. I mean, organized religion would be affected. I mean, it would have global implications. It would have social, political, religious implications. It would be huge. It would be huge. And we're looking, and man, I'm hoping that we will find it. But that's a great question, Doug. I mean, if it did happen, it would be profound. It would be significant. It would be earth shattering.
Right. Alex, you must have some, I know that you know that book really, really well that Max just wrote. Why don't you take a stab at a good Alex question? I love your questions, Alex. Go. Oh, you got to hear an Alex question.
I mean, do you feel like we'll ever get public acceptance from the scientific community? Is that even possible?
Well, you have people like Jeff Meldrum, and I've been looking over his book, When Legend Meets Science. And Doug, you're mentioned there about 1 million times. So.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm working on, the new Legend Meets Science film.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen the film. If he hasn't seen it, send him a Legend Meets Science 1 DVD. Alex.
Yeah, good. Okay,
sure.
Get him out one.
Okay, great. Okay, yeah. But Jeff talks about Gigantopithecus being a possible link to Bigfoot, and he also talks about that Bigfoot is bipedal, walks on 2 feet like humans. So that's another one of his theories, to explain that Bigfoot exists. But the thing that he brings to the fore are all of the foot casts, and he's able to go and talk about that scientifically. He's an anthropologist, and I think he does have respect within the scientific community. But when I saw him down in Ocala, he said he's always the last one to be invited to the table. And he meant the Bigfoot table, because he's the scientist, the scientific mind. So a lot of people don't consider that, and I think we need to. So we all do our part to validate, legitimize this whole thing, this endeavor, this Bigfoot thing. And again, I try to do with my book to present, to offer a good book, a well researched and documented book, and God, I love this thing. So I just can't thank you guys enough for.
Well, you're very welcome. We thank you. But do you think these things are human-like? Do you think they're aliens? What do they do with their day? You know what I mean? If I had superpowers to disappear and do different things, what do you think they do with their day? I mean, are they here hunting deer? Are they here just scaring the hell out of people? Are they here enjoying our beautiful forests? What
do you think they sleep all day?
What do you think their purpose is? Yeah, what's their purpose? Everything has some purpose, even if we don't know what it is yet.
Yeah, I think they survive. They exist. I think they stay away from humans. One theory is that after seeing what man did to the Indian, Native Americans, and buffalo and everything else, they stay away from us because we're the bad guys. So that makes sense. But I think they're out there doing their own thing. I think they may be more nocturnal. Even though we talk about big Sasquatch tribes, we typically talk about solitary Bigfoots. So you have that I think more of that. But we have so many accounts of Bigfoot in Western Pennsylvania, in Chestnut Ridge. I mean, it's just like, and just recently, Eric Altman had some prints, some casts from Hollidaysburg, Pennsylvania, that's outside of the Chestnut Ridge area. But he sent those to Dr. Jeff Meldrum, and those are supposed to be a significant find. And when we talk about significant find, we're talking about footprints that are a lot larger than a bear or a human being. 5-toed, even though the one guy down in Florida claims that the swamp ape is, I think he said 6-toed. But
David Shealy, yeah,
the guy down there in the Everglades.
Yeah, it's David Shealy. Yeah.
Okay, but I don't know what they do. I mean, again, they exist, they procreate, they eat, there was a motion picture that came out. It's in my book. It was Sasquatch Sunset, I believe. And there's a family of Sasquatch that all they do is they eat, they defecate, they have sex, and they grunt. And so here's Hollywood.
I saw that movie. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That was not so good.
Yeah. But then, when you talk about the fear, I remember from the 50s, The Abominable Snowman in black and white. What a great flick. What a great suspense, sci-fi, Yeti.
But the only thing I could tell you, okay, so when I say fear, I'm saying almost a primordial fear. It's different. It's a different type of fear. I think a lot of people that scoff at it are afraid of it because they can't face that they don't want to hear about it. There's like, they stick their fingers in their ear. And I think it's a different kind of fear. And one guy, can't remember, Bill Burns, described it to me, and he probably pinpointed it the most. He said, these things can drag you off because they have hands, hold you captive, torture you, scare you, save you for later. You know what I mean? It was that kind of a fear of being dragged off.
Yeah. That's like Albert Ostman was in 1924.
Yeah.
Something was happening around his campsite. This is pretty interesting. And so he hid in his sleeping bag, and he had a rifle. And here something picked him up and took him, dumped him like maybe 3 miles away. Here was a family of Sasquatch, a male, female, and then a son and a daughter. And for some reason, Ostman had this fear that they were going to use him for breeding purposes. So he made a plan that he would go and feed his chewing tobacco to the male Sasquatch, which he did. And the Sasquatch got sick, and then he took off. And it was quite a while later that he even reported that, because all of a sudden there were all these Sasquatch sightings and reports. So this was 1924. So he talked to John Green, one of the legendary horsemen of Sasquatchery, and John Green took his story, and they felt that it was true. This was back in 1924, before there were a whole lot of stories about Bigfoot, descriptions and everything. And he talked about the family and how they acted. They gave him lie detector test. He had to sign, he was a Swedish Canadian guy. He had to sign affidavits and everything. And he took it to his grave that what he saw was correct. Yeah. And it was, what's interesting too, this was the first case I know of being abducted by a Sasquatch, as opposed to in 62, 63 with Betty and Barney Hill.
Well, could you imagine coming out with that story back in the 20s?
I know. But with Betty and Barney Hill, that kicked off a whole thing of people being abducted.
That took a lot of courage. But Ostman, you know what really struck me? Nobody ever talks about this. I do. I've studied the PG film gate, and I've always kind of I've called it the goose walk, the mountain gate, because the legs are doing this in and out stuff, right? It's not just compliant knees or bent knees. Well, if you listen to the story, Ostman described it, and I didn't really even buy into the Ostman story until I heard this. And years after I'd studied the PG film, he said they did a goose walk. And I just got chills when that hit me after I discovered this goose walk with the pattern. You know, he's like, he wouldn't know that.
Yeah.
He must have witnessed something at the very least. You know, maybe his whole story was embellished, but I think something really happened.
Yeah.
You know, it's. I mean, every story like they get embellished a little bit.
Absolutely, yeah. The thing too about
Doesn't
Bigfoot,
mean it's not true.
Yeah, it doesn't mean it's not true. A lot of times they talk about Bigfoot as gliding, and they talk about not reflecting light from their eyes, but emanating light from the eyes.
Yeah, I remember the first time I heard that from a very good researcher out in Washington. He claimed he got out of his tent. He had heard some rustling around camp, got out of his tent, and the first thing he sees is two almost green. It was kind of misty and humid that night. Mm-hmm. Two green, like laser beams coming out of a tall, dark creature.
Yeah.
Green, almost like, beams of a flashlight.
Mm-hmm.
And, that really struck me odd, hearing that many, many years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And it sounds supernatural and could be, I don't know.
Yeah.
But in the same token, there is some cells in human eyes, and only humans have these cells that still emit light. They're protein cells. We don't have many left. Each human's got like 3 or 4 in each eye, and that's it. But they actually emit light, produce light.
Yeah.
And I went, well, isn't that interesting? Because I heard that years after. So maybe, what if humans did that? How would we ever know in the fossil record? What if humans had the power to have their eyes use them like flashlights?
Yeah.
Like a bioluminescence.
Yeah. I never heard that, but that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it is, because I love it when puzzle pieces fit together. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure you had that experience where you're writing your book like, ooh, that fits with this and this fits.
It was nice when it was coming together. It was nice that it had a flow. I had to include the hoaxers in there because, I mean, they have to be called out. And I claim that the hoaxers have sold their souls. So I got a little bit militant about this. But come on, again, they hold us back. They discredit us. And there's been a number of Ray Wallace was the one that we should talk about. He, with the some of the sightings in I guess it was in California, and he was making some Bigfoot tracks, but he was called out by Lauren Coleman, and Lauren Coleman said, let me see, what's his quote, that with Ray Wallace, he planted the prints around Bluff Creek, but Lauren Coleman says, "Fakery not revealed is a lie that lives on into the future." And Coleman was calling him out because they were making him the champion of the Bigfoot hoax and everything, and making that hoax the story.
Right. They were saying basically that the whole mystery is, it's all explained.
It wasn't, but Lauren Coleman was
joke. I remember a call. Okay. After I did Legend Meets Science, that was set to air, blah, blah, blah. I was all done with it. And I remember getting a call from Discovery after, I think it was Ray Wallace came forward, or one of these nuts. I get so PO'd, I can't even think.
Yeah.
And they called me up and said, well, I guess we can't air your show now, that the whole Bigfoot mystery's been explained. And man, did they get a whooping from me.
Good.
I said, you tell me one guy comes forward with nothing except his, just making up a bunch of crap and says he's the reason for the whole Bigfoot mystery. And I went, blah, 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 blah. And, I won the argument there.
Yeah.
But it's so easy for some of these people who aren't educated just to grab onto that kind of a BS story.
Yeah. They would rather believe the non-science and the science.
But that's the fear I'm talking about, though, too. I think fear affects that. Deep primordial fear affects people to glam on to stupid explanations.
Yeah. I did want to quote from my book, if I could.
Sure, please.
Yeah, there's a friend of mine down.
You're up next, Alex. You got to ask a good question. You got to
in
ask
Florida.
me amazing
This is for Alex.
questions.
And so anyway, there's my friends Marlene Pelliser. She's the host of the Miami Ghost Chronicles.
Okay.
And she left Miami because it was getting too crowded and too much crime and drugs and everything else. So now she's out in my area. She's close to the Gulf side. But anyway, she contributed this for me. And my intro is this. Faith and reason are like fire and ice. We accept faith's warmth, but not science's intellectual chill. The core message is about connection, empathy, and a more profound human drive, which is dormant in many of us, but needs to be reawakened. Marlene Pardo Pelliser, host of the Miami Ghost Chronicles podcast, explained. And listen to what she had to say. She said, in a world where everything is measured, tracked, and verified, humans always seek the mysteries of life and nature. There is a secret Indiana Jones in each of us. The search for Bigfoot itself, or proof that it exists, is us thumbing our collective nose at science and its irrefutable facts. Exploration and discovery fulfill a wonderful niche in the human psyche. There is no more powerful proof against the theories of evolution than finding what so many academics claim doesn't exist and never could. If Bigfoot exists, what other wonderful discoveries await us? So this is sort of going against science, but she talks about that spirit of adventure that we all share, that Indiana Jones thing, and maybe that's one reason. But I don't think a lot of people share that, is what I'm saying. They're afraid of that. It's like they want to be the smartest thing on the planet. They don't want to be. They don't want to be second fiddle. Yeah.
They don't want to think there's a 10-foot predator out there, or another human that's
or an alien,
maybe even more intelligent than we.
Well, another way to look at it, this, and listen, we're not elitist, and we don't have a condescending attitude, but maybe we have a higher vibration, and maybe we have a higher level of awareness, and that's why we're having this talk. A lot of other people would just discard this conversation as being nonsense or whatever.
Yeah, right.
But we don't, and I think we're doing something important for the field.
Well, let me ask you this, because you have experience with the paranormal too. How would you compare the two fields, like Bigfoot, paranormal, as far as like hoaxing goes, and can we learn any lessons from either field as far as, the increase the quality of our research and how we sift through all this evidence?
Well, with who was it? Was it Rick Dyer? He was the infamous hoaxer.
Yes.
And
Bigfoot in the freezer, the rubber Bigfoot in the freezer.
Exactly. He did that. He did the one in Georgia. It was a rubber gorilla suit, but Dyer said this. He said he admitted how he easily duped vulnerable individuals. He would take them out on Bigfoot searches. He said, quote, "There's no more evidence for Bigfoot than the Tooth Fairy or the Easter Bunny. And that's what people have to get through their heads. I have taken people out to hunt for Bigfoot, and all the time I was thinking in my head, quote, why would someone pay to go out to hunt for something that does not exist? But people do." Now, this is a guy that duped everybody, and he relished that, and he thought he was just
but he's also doing the opposite by that statement is complete misinformation also.
Yeah, correct.
The guy is just one big ball of misinformation.
Yeah. And again, these, like I say, these hoaxers need to be called out, and as you did with the Discovery Channel and all that. So, it's a battle.
I just called myself out tonight. I took a picture. I don't know if you were on, Max. Took a picture and it looked like there were three. Somebody else pointed out, hey, there's 3 UFOs in the sky. And I looked at that for, 2 minutes, and I went, oh, those are my recessed lights. And that's there they are. See, that's a recessed light in my kitchen, reflecting off a patio window.
Oh, jeez.
So you blow that up, Alex. Tell me that don't look like a damn
look at that,
flying saucer.
Yeah.
I could have put that on Reddit. Oh, I got, no.
Or Among Us.
But it's just amazing how easy, some people do believe that. And I don't blame people. There's a lot of great people out there. They're innocent, okay? And I have more respect for truly innocent people who I don't think it's gullible. They're just innocent. They don't think anybody would ever do anything that would be, untruth because they're so damn honest.
Yeah.
They're looking at everything from their purity.
Yeah.
And I will never put down a gullible person that's just has a pure of heart and just thinks no one would ever hoax.
Yeah.
It's just it's a terrible thing to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But what I hate is somebody who purposely tries to trick people or just says they know everything and they don't know crap. No, none of us know anything, Max.
Right. I like what you keep on saying that, Doug, and I agree with that. We don't know anything, but what we do is we try to come up with terms.
We try to put together this jigsaw puzzle. It's complex, man.
Like Alan Hynek tried to do that.
Yes.
First he was a skeptic, but then he gave us the close encounters of the first, second, and third kind of, all kinds of terminology. So I think he did a lot.
Well, he redeemed himself a bit. Yes.
He did. After the swamp gas in Michigan.
He was very brilliant. And I'm sure Rick Dyer is a brilliant guy. You know what I mean? He obviously.
I don't know about that, but.
Well, my point is this field is so wrought with so many things and so many emotions and different beliefs. And I hope everybody suspends all of their beliefs because we don't know anything.
Yeah.
What we do know is something's going on.
Yeah.
That they can all agree on, right? We know that there's sightings. I guarantee that this mystery will get solved someday. I don't know if it'll be in my lifetime. I'm just doing my part to try to raise the bar, ask the right questions, look at the right evidence. Now we're looking at skin sebum, Maxim, because skin sebum leaves fingerprints that are quite oversized, and you can't fake latent details. Very difficult. Plus, there should be sloughed off DNA, skin cells.
Huh. Interesting.
Plus, here's the kicker. There's a chemical compound in every animal's sebum or every primate sebum that's different. So you have chemistry, DNA, and physical latent details that can be studied. Mm-hmm. If we can collect DNA through a very vetted fingerprint, they seem to leave this kind of whitey, waxy fingerprints. I think it'll raise the bar. It won't prove the species, but it'll raise the bar. Then it's something people like New York Todd, and he's been collecting it in a very, very scientific way. And he's been able to repeat it over and over and over. Right. So it's something future scientists can do with a little effort in the right area. They seem to be curious, Maxim, about touching smooth, glossy items, car paint, windows. And it seems to really, well, think about it. There's nothing like that in the forest.
Yeah. Huh.
So that's just kind of one of those things that people go, huh. But it's an area I'm working on really hard right now.
Okay. And I'd like to hear more about that.
Yeah, I'd love to talk to you more about
this. Conversation has had so many twists and turns and has gone so many different places.
I call it conversation diarrhea, whatever. It's still fun.
Or paranormal potpourri.
Paranormal potpourri, yes, there you go.
Works. But it's good. But I again, I appreciate the opportunity to talk to your audience and to discuss.
Well, what is there a story that maybe the audience doesn't know, one that you ran into or heard that's just quite unsettling? Anything that's, something that made you a little unsettled, you couldn't get out of your head, some story or something you uncovered?
I couldn't, not just one thing, just the whole fabric. The looking at the what I call the war between the different factions. It's really hard to go and just take a look at this whole Bigfoot cryptozoology thing. It's a fabric. It's a tapestry, right. And part of that, unfortunately, is the hoaxers and they've been a big part of that, unfortunately. Also, the commercialism. Right now, when you ask about being afraid of Bigfoot, a lot of us are just looking at Bigfoot as being this cuddly thing, like was it the Andersons? The
Harry and the Hendersons.
Harry and the Andersons. That it's been marketed, it's been exploited. I mean, every time you turn around, there's another motion picture, another something. It's all over the internet. So it's hard to go. I mean, the thing that mystified me was that it's hard to view this in a serious manner because there's so much junk that's out there. And again, I mean, there's so much clutter, I should say that.
Yeah, clutter.
It's clutter. That's the thing that got to me. So if I'm able to go and do a little framework, a book that is well presented, well researched and documented, and to present that apart from the clutter, then I think that's what I did. But to answer your question, that's the answer to your question.
Okay.
And that's a tough question.
Well,
too.
one thing that obviously you discovered, there's a lot of white noise, a lot of static.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. Yeah. I know. Yeah. So
there is, and I've always just ignored that crap. I just ignore it. I just totally ignore it. I don't give a crap. I remember as a kid seeing the Patterson-Gimlin thinking, that's a real animal.
Yeah.
And that was scary to me. It really was. That's walking around in the woods. Yeah. And I might run into that thing.
Yeah. Alex had, when we did our interview, and Alex is being kind of shy tonight, but he asked me about the Patterson-Gimlin film. Because
what are your thoughts on that?
I addressed that a number of times, but it's interesting because after the film, Patterson and his brother-in-law were going out there trying to make money. So he was sort of focused on this. Gimlin was sort of like he just went into the desert. He was lost. He just ran away. And the only reason he came back is because some of the Bigfoot cultists invited him to some of their conferences and things.
Sure.
And he became almost like a saint. So I talk about.
I was with Bob when he came to us. When he arrived at the first conference he had ever gone to, I was there waiting for him.
Good for you.
And to see everybody coming up on autographs, and I thought, finally, Bob, you don't know what you've been missing.
Yeah.
He thought everybody was going to throw stones at him.
Yeah. I'm so glad. And there was a girl named Nicole Craddock. She's from Tennessee, and she's his granddaughter, and I'm trying to reach out to her and make contact. I would love to go and talk to Bob Gimlin. I mean, he's about 87 now, I think.
Yeah. But I went with Bob to the film site too.
Okay.
And he had never been back there either, to go there with him again.
Yeah.
And to wander the woods and the creek looking for that exact tree and that exact thing was so cool.
Yeah. And if we were going to go and do a hoax, if we were going to go and do this Patty Bigfoot thing, it would be longer than 58 or 59 seconds. So that's the one thing. And then all these other people that study the gait, it wasn't a suit, it wasn't a costume. I mean,
there's no way that's a suit.
So that's the one thing that we hang our hat on. I mean, that thing I think is proof, as well as the Bigfoot, the tracks, the plaster casts.
Well, guess what I did, Maxim? You might get a kick out of this. Up to Snell Grove, I brought 2 film cameras, spring wind, and then we had Eric Sorensen 3D printed me, designed and 3D printed triggers that could be then set with like a vine. We had a little hook stick, made a set, completely hidden. So if something walked on a certain game trail, this thing would shoot film.
Yeah.
No electricity, no nothing. Unwind, just shoot old 16 or 888, what they call 888 film. My point is, maybe we need to go backwards.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's doing that. You can still buy film. You can still buy cameras.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing touched that set either. That thing was unsprung. Just sad. So I had to bring the film camera, still loaded. But I find that whole thing So amazing, that film, and I've studied it
Oh, yeah,
probably as much
it
as
is amazing.
anybody.
Yeah, everybody's studied it, analyzed it.
Did you feel when you first saw it? I would imagine you saw it many years ago, but when you first saw it, did you have that instinctual, like, that's a real animal?
Yeah, I liked the way it turned and looked. It was curious. That got me, and then it walked away. Yeah, that was just and I've seen that a million times, and it's Renee Dahindran that owns the photographs, the rights.
Yeah,
to
the
photographs,
still
and
right.
Patterson's wife owns the video, but all that's gone. I mean, they don't know where the original video is.
Yeah, it was originally 60 millimeter film or color negative. I don't know. That's to me, I'm like, all I know is John Green had a very close copy. I used his.
Okay.
He loaned it to me, and I did the first high def transfer, what they call a 3-light transfer, at a high def studio. It cost me a lot of money. And I'll never forget having that thing up on the big thing when they were doing the transfer. And one of those guys that was in that studio to this day is a researcher because of what he saw.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the things that still hasn't been studied properly is Patty's hair bristles a bit when it looks at Roger.
Okay.
And we could clearly see it on this giant high def screen.
Mm-hmm.
When it turns and looks, the hair, that the piloerection.
Piloerection, yeah, very good. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, piloerection, and it happens. Mm-hmm. And that still is yet. And I'm hoping to do something with that in Legend Meets Science too yet.
Yeah, okay.
It's one of the things I want to get done because, but this guy saw it. He's a researcher to this day because of that.
Wow. Now, Sly Fox has a question. Have you heard that there's 2 Bigfoot in the Patterson-Gimlin film? And I never heard that.
No, I don't think there is. I mean, there's so many shadows, right, Max? There's so many shadows. There could be something in there peeking around.
There was some documentation. It might have been in Jeff Meldrum's book, but that there might have been a female Bigfoot and then 2 little ones, just based on some footprints that they saw there.
What's really interesting is this. My theory is she was a nursing female.
Okay.
And that, when she walked away, otherwise, why didn't she dart into the forest? She led those boys away from her young ones, is a theory.
Good point. Good theory,
because the other ones where these things have been seen out in the open, I believe are real. The Freeman footage, the Memorial Day footage, they all came out in the open.
Mm-hmm.
Why? You just don't do that when the forest is right there. It could have just done a left turn and went into the forest. It didn't.
Good
Unless
point.
You need to make it be a distraction.
Yeah, and yet it's got very well developed. It looked like enlarged breasts.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a dumb theory, but I think there may be something to it because the Freeman also looks postpartum. You can see it's almost pregnant or, like a postpartum stomach.
Sure, yeah.
And it also steps out into the ocean. Stepped out into the open, I said ocean. Mm-hmm. And then he filmed a baby being lifted, which many people haven't seen. It's in our book, The Freeman File. We've enhanced it. And she reaches down and lifts it up, and the legs wrap around her waist. There's 2 clear articulating legs and a little head that come up. And so, you start adding, once again, you got to add all this stuff together.
Yeah, right.
And you have to come to it's not a conclusion, but it's kind of interesting, a hell of a coincidence, maybe.
Well, you do come to some kind of a conclusion. You take what you're looking at and put it together, and it has to mean something. So
they changed her name to Big Jill after
Big Jill
after the postpartum theory kind of went.
Not Patty.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about the Freeman footage.
Oh, okay.
I used to think it was a man, Bigfoot, a male, and then it was, maybe it is a female.
Yeah.
So they could change the name to whatever it was to Big Jill.
Yeah.
So it's funny. But I don't know how much time we have. If you want to visit, we're happy to keep going a little bit, another 10 minutes if you want, or we can wrap it up. And
well, is there any other thing that we need to talk about? Alex, did you have a chance to take a good look at the book?
Yeah, I've looked it over. It's great. Everyone should pick it up tonight. Buy it on our site. Buy it on Amazon.
Okay.
and
then why is that? Why should they buy the Lost Tribes of Bigfoot?
Because it's the best book we've recently published.
Okay.
There you go. Well, the one thing is, I do know that you have an incredible reputation for good writing. That you're a true journalist and that you really do write well. And I'm looking forward to reading it big time.
Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate that, and and I respect my craft. And the other thing too, I think as a writer, I have an obligation to the readers to make it readable. To not have that data overload, to have a nice sequence and all that.
You write with a poetry. I mean, you're a writer first and foremost, right? Like, you're not just like there's a rhythm to what you write.
Yeah.
And you coming from that school of journalism, and I feel like you're both open-minded, but you don't believe in everything you hear, right? You look at it with a clear-headed mind. You look at the evidence, and you lead readers to where it takes you.
Yeah, well put. Yeah, I like to every now and then. There's a term called stream of consciousness where you just write, just go. It's easy to do that flow. I don't do that. I do something that's sort of artsy and poetic, and every now and then I drop that in, not throughout the whole book, but just in places, just to go and jazz it up and just embellish it. And that's the fun part about writing, to make it good. I mean, anybody could write. Johnny went to the store to buy a loaf of bread and then went home. I mean, that's easy writing. But to embellish it, to go and have quotes and to validate what you're writing is sort of the fun thing to do. But I appreciate that, Doug. That is a very nice compliment. And a lot of times, as authors, as writers, are in a vacuum. We write things, the books go out, and then there are many times you don't get a whole lot of feedback, so you don't know what the world's saying. With Coleridge and Hoodoo, just a couple weeks ago, I went on Amazon just to read what they were saying about it, and I was blown away. I mean, talk about piloerections. I was getting goosebumps and everything else. I mean, it was just they were looking at it in a different perspective than I could. I mean, it was all good. It was all positive. But I mean, I just, they were seeing it differently. And so evidently Maxim W. Furek, paranormal author, represents something else that is part of me, but I'm maybe not really familiar with. Yeah. So anyway, that was good. And I'm hoping that Lost Tribes of Bigfoot does the same thing. I'm telling everybody that buys it to do reviews on Hanger One and Goodreads and Amazon.
Yeah, please leave Max a review if you get the book and read it. Really good question, because it's so simple. Everybody should answer this. Caillou, what do you think Bigfoot really is?
Well, first of all, does it really matter what Maxim W. Furek thinks?
Hell yeah. Yeah, it does.
Okay.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, okay. So the other thing what I say in my book is this, we're all looking for the flesh and blood proof. And so we start there and we take a look at that and we look at what we have, we look at the evidence and everything. But what I've said, and it's even on the back of the book, if it's not flesh and blood, then what is it? So where do we go? And then I go into those twists and turns. And again, I talk about different possibilities, whether it's the Jungian collective unconscious, the mass hallucinations, the interdimensional theory. And the interdimensional theory is something that is resonating with a lot of researchers, because that just seems to be someplace that we need more information, we need more research. We need to figure this out. And I think that maybe the answers lie there. So yes, I think Bigfoot exists, but is it a physical, a spiritual, ectoplasmic energy thing? I mean, what is it? What form does it take? And that's the real question. And I don't know. None of us know. So
yeah. And what purpose is it? Even if, let's just say it's flesh and blood. What is its purpose in the forest?
Yeah. One thing I want to say in my book, The Lost Tribes of Bigfoot, is that there's a chapter called In the Land of the Lost and Found. And I talk about all these discoveries that are being made. These creatures, fish, sharks, snakes, things that they thought were either extinct or they were never discovered before. And now what's happening, this is almost like a renaissance, and we need to be excited about this. And yeah, maybe this is one of the things that I discovered, another thing I discovered by writing the book. But because we're reaching the point with global warming, there's a lot of species, like you were talking about the gorillas, reaching a point of extinction. And now researchers are going out there looking for these species to find what's out there. And they're making tons and tons of discovery. All the energy is being placed in that direction now. Do it now while we still can, while they still exist. So, maybe these cryptids, maybe discoveries are right around the corner. Maybe we're going to go and find them. But, this is a time of renaissance, a time of discovery and exploration. And these are exciting times. This isn't.
Oh, we are living in exciting times.
Yeah.
Are you like a lot of people feel like it's like everything's a little different in the last few years? Like I almost feel like I went through a dimension.
Well, I think after COVID, so I didn't go crazy. I finished my rock biography, Somebody Else's Dream. So that was during 2021, I believe. But if I was like everybody else, the walls were closing in. I'm down in Florida. There's a war going on with the vaxxers and anti-vaxxers, people that wear masks, people that don't. I mean, it was crazy. It was very, very political. And, to keep my sanity, I decided to write this book, and that was my saving grace. I mean, but with the COVID, with all of us, we were forced, some of us, you either go crazy, you either do drugs, you kill yourself, or you find your center, you find what's real to you, and then you go on with that. So COVID really taught us a lesson, taught us about who we are and our connections. And then
definitely, I think it changed everything.
It really did, yeah. And things are still, we're still feeling the impact of that.
I think it permanently changed everything. So anyhow, well, thank you so much. We'll have you back. We got to get you on a round table.
Okay,
is what we're gonna do. And I know some
with
of the other.
with who would be
I don't know. I'll think about it. It'll be an interesting one. We'll get you on. I'm gonna definitely next round table we're gonna invite you on it.
Okay.
And we'll see what happens. But the Lost Tribes of Bigfoot. He's also, if you love his writing style, he's got lots of other books. And I'm going to get a copy this week, and I'm going to read it, and I will let you know, Max. But you give me a call anytime, and let's visit.
Yeah, for sure, Doug. Yeah, thank you so much. And
it was great.
This was really great. I really appreciate the being on the show. And
it was fun having you on. And
yeah,
thank you everybody for joining us. And remember to keep your face to the sunshine, and you will not see any shadows. So good night, everybody. We will see you next Wednesday on Untold Radio AM. Good night.
Good night, guys. Thanks, everybody.
Good night. We love you all.
I call you up in the middle of the night. Been bothered by dreams, ain't feeling alright. You give me comfort, say just give it some time. By the end of our talk, I'm feeling just fine.